Yes, this is Auntie, as you all know. So I welcome each and every one of you here. If you are here, kindly send a message, okay, to the page. Tell the others that we are live so that they can also join us and so that we can have today's session and, learn what we have to learn today. So today we are actually going to talk about something very, very, very interesting. So let's give some few more minutes. Let's wait for the others to join so that we can start today's class. I'm so excited about today's class, actually. I'm so excited. We are going to have a wonderful session with our beautiful doctor, Dr. Akosia. I'm going to introduce her soon. So let's wait a few minutes and let the others also join in. All right. I welcome all of you. If you are joining now, I welcome you. You can introduce yourself in the comment section. You can tell us your name and where you are joining in from so that we will know that you are joining us live today. All right. And dear parents, if you haven't subscribed, okay, to this course, to this channel, to our YouTube channel, kindly send us kindly click on the subscribe button to subscribe to our channel. We have quite a number of videos you can go through, at an appropriate time to learn something. We talk more also about parents and how you can raise your children to become wholesome, to become responsible. So that is actually what we do at the Peak Parent Academy. So I welcome you. I welcome you. I welcome you. So without wasting much time, let me just introduce our guest for today's class. I'm not going to handle today's class, neither is Uncle Kwame. Today, we are going to have today's class by our wonderful Dr. Akosia Omina Boateng. She's a child of God. She's a wife. She's a mom, a medical doctor who believes that it's important for everyone to plan their lives so that they can maximize their potential. Wow, I love it. I love it. I love it. So today we are going to actually talk about back to school success, building routines and preparing for a winning academic term and beyond. Yes, very soon we are going to go back to school. I believe some have already even gone back to school. Yes, but I think next week, majority of us are going to be in school and we still need to keep reading. We still need to do what we have to do. So that is why we are actually going to bring you this session. We need to set some goals. We need to, have some clarity as we are entering the next term. And that is actually why we are having today's session, Back to School Success. So without wasting much time, let's invite Dr. Akosia Omina Boateng on stage so that she can move on with today's class.
Okay, thank
Hello,
you
sir.
so thank
Good
you so
evening. I
much.
welcome you.
Thank you. Thank you
All right,
so
let me
much.
leave the stage so
Yeah.
that you can go ahead with your session.
Okay. Thank you so much, Auntie Ikuya, for inviting me to give this talk. It's so important that as we grow, we're able to get some of these things that help us grow better. And so, as Auntie Ikuya has already said, today we are going to talk about routines and then preparing for a winning academic term. Auntie Ikuya, please, next slide. Great. So, we would like to know what routines are, what schedules are, why are routines and schedules important, and then also how do we build routines and schedules, and then finally we'll give some tips for going back to school. So what are routines? Routines are things that we do repeatedly. Okay, so we can have morning routines, we can have afternoon routines, and then evening routines. When we talk about morning routines, for example, when you wake up, you brush your teeth, you bath, you get ready to go to school, or if you are going to church, you get ready to go to church. Those activities that you do, waking up, bathing, brushing your teeth, those are routines. So, routines are things, as I mentioned, that we do repeatedly. And then sometimes we may not have specific times that we do these routines. However, when we talk of schedules, a schedule is like a plan that you have that allows you to know when to do something. You know what time. For example, when you get back to school, maybe you know that around 5 o'clock you have your supper, or maybe six supper. So there's a time to it. Or maybe when you come back home from school, um, you know that maybe you are supposed to read your book for an hour, maybe from 5 to 6, or maybe 6 to 7. Those are specific times. Okay. So to help us train ourselves, it's important that we take note of these things and then be able to put them together and draw a plan that will help us. So, why do routines and schedules matter? That is one of the key things that we will answering here. Routines are important because routines and schedules actually, they're important because they help us to get more things done within the time that we have. We all have 24 hours, and the 24 hours, we have to apportion the 24 hours well so that we will be able to do what we need to do for the day, and then also be able to have some time to rest and some time to enjoy ourselves. So, routines will help us do that, as well as schedules. Because when you plan what to do something, you know that when the time is coming up, oh, I have this to do, let me prepare and do it. You are less likely to waste time. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why routines and schedules are important. Again, another thing is that they help us build focus. You know, they help us focus. When you tell yourself that at this time, let's say at 2 o'clock, I have my book that I have to read, you will realize that because you have told yourself that at 2 o'clock I'm reading my book, when it's getting to time, your mind will start reminding you that, oh, there's something to do, there's something to do, there's something to do. So, whatever you are doing, you leave it and then you go and pick the book that you said you read at 2 o'clock, and then you dedicate the time to it, and then you read. So, that's one of the other things that having schedules and then also having routines help us. They help us to focus on the task at hand and then get it done. Because you know that the other things that you need to attend to, you will be able to do them because you have also put time to them, or you have a period within which you'll be doing them. So you are not stressed out. You have a plan, and that's something that helps us. Okay. And again, as I mentioned, because you have planned for things, you are not stressed out. For example, when you come back from school and you know that at this time, let's say from 6 to 7, I'll do my homework. And so when you are doing your house chores, you know that from 6 to 7, I'm doing my homework. You are not stressed out. Okay. And then when the morrow comes, like tomorrow, if you have done your homework as you plan to do, you're again not stressed out because you know that you put a time to what you're supposed to do and you have done it. So, really, there's no stress for you. So, when we are able to have routines and schedules, they take out stress from our lives. The kind of thinking, hey, what is going to happen? I haven't finished my homework. I need to go to school. How am I going to do it? Is the teacher going to cane me? Am I going to get scolded? All that is put aside when you plan appropriately and then you execute that plan, or you do what you said you would do. That's one of the things, again, that helps us to be able to, that's important, why we should have routines and then we should have schedules. And then one thing we must realize is that we are growing up. And when you grow up, you realize you may be working, you may be a parent, um, you may be serving in church, and all these things require that you are able to manage your time. So, as we are young and we are putting these things in place, they are actually helping us train ourselves so that as we grow, we are able to better manage our time. Okay, we are better able to manage our time, and so become more effective as adults. So those are some of the reasons why having routines and schedules are important. So we'll move on to how to build routines and then schedules. And these ones, so Ekuya, please move on to the next slide for me. Great. Great. So, for teens, I would say that teens are growing. They are almost in like transition from childhood to adulthood. So they are also able to know themselves better, and then together with their parents or their caregivers, they can plan, or be able to build the routine. Okay, so what needs to be done is that as a teen, you sit down with your parents or your caregivers or your guardians, and then together you discuss how you are going to build a routine that works. I must say that every person is different and every household is different. So you cannot pick a particular routine that works for person A and apply that to person B. No, it may not work. You may need to be able to sit down and then plan together um, with your parents or caregivers, as I said. And the planning should include when you go to bed and then when you wake up. I know that as young people, we prefer to stay up and then all that, enjoy the times in the evenings. But we must realize that being able to wake up early is dependent on when we are able to sleep, because the body requires that we are able to sleep well. And then when the body is well rested, when it's time to wake up, it's not so difficult. So it's important that we set times for waking up and then sleeping. And this is important. It's so, so important. That's why I'm stressing on it, because I know I have a teenager in my home, and then sometimes it's difficult when it's time to go and sleep. You don't want to sleep, but then when you don't sleep early, you can't wake up early. So it's important that we have that specific time, and then we stick to it. A way of being able to train yourself is sticking to what you have said you will do. So if you say that we'll go to bed at 9 and then wake up at 5, you plan on it and then you do it consistently. You realize that as you do it consistently, your body begins to recognize when it's time to go and sleep. You realize that you start feeling sleepy. And when it's time to wake up, your body also allows you to know that it's time to wake up. Your eyes just open, and then when you check the watch, you realize, oh, it's around 5, maybe 5 to 5 or 5 after 5. And these are ways that we train the body. So it's important that we are able to train the body and then be able to build these routines. And then also setting times for schoolwork is important. Oh, hello. Someone says they can't hear me. Hello. Okay, please, can you hear me? Hello. 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 Can you hear me now, please? Can you hear me? If you can, please, can you send a message or something? Because I just received a message that you can't hear me. You can hear me? Okay, thank you. Then please, the one who sent the message, maybe you can maybe go off and then rejoin. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. So I was on the bit about schoolwork and then time for daily reading, time for fun, and then activities. So as teens, we, as I mentioned earlier, we know ourselves and we know when we are able to learn best. So, for example, if you are someone who learns better in the morning, it will be better for you in building your routine to set up more of the time for studying in the morning, because that is the period where you are able to absorb better. So for you, it means you would even sleep earlier so that you can wake up early and then be able to use the morning to study. And for someone who probably reads better in the afternoon or evening, again, that is when you will set the time that you will use for your study. And then also, I know you have books that you read daily. And going back to school shouldn't be a time that you stop, because reading daily is actually also a way of building a routine, or is a way of training yourself to do something consistently. You will realize that as adults, there are things that we are not able to do consistently. We say we'll do something and then we are unable to do it, mainly because when we were growing up, we didn't train ourselves to be consistent. And then having the daily reading time is a way of building consistency. So it's important that we do that even whilst we are in school. Even if it's 30 minutes, 20 minutes, the whole thing is to be able to have a consistent habit. Okay, that's one of the things that we must note. And then also having time for fun and then also for family activities. It's so important that as we are growing up, we are able to build the bonds of family and be able to have that love within the family. And it's usually about spending quality time together. So when you are building these routines and schedules, it's important that you factor these in, factor family times in, factor times for fun, so that you will be able to have a lively environment. And all that I've said, the tools that you would need depends on what you think works best. So if you use one and it's not working, you try the other one. So you can have timetables where what I have said, you put it in a chart, a visual representation, so that it's maybe stuck on the fridge or maybe stuck on the wall of the team, or in a place where it's easily visible, so that we do not forget about what we have planned, because that is something that can happen if you put things on paper but they are not in front of you. You can also forget. And so you would have written down something that you said you do, but you are not doing it because you have forgotten you have even written it. And then also you can also put it in a checklist. Some people do better when they are able to take off the tasks that they've done and then are able to know what is remaining. That spurs them on. So again, you will have to see and then also decide which works best for you. Or it can be calendars. You can have a calendar that you put the various things that you are supposed to do in, and these things help you so that you are able to manage your time and then also able to build that consistency that you need. And I will say again and again that the routine and schedule building is all about practice. You start small. You may not be able to be, you may not be perfect when you are starting out, but as you continue with it, you realize that you are able to better follow, able to manage your time better, and then also able to um, generally achieve more because you stick to what you say you are going to do, and then you are able to achieve it. You know, sometimes we say we don't have time, but when we sit down and really plan, you realize you have time to achieve what it is that you need to do. The other day, I was doing a similar exercise with my daughter. She had to do some homework and she was saying it's too much. But when we looked at the time she needed to complete it, we realized she has more than enough time to do it. So when we plan, we realize that we have more than enough time that we need to be able to do the work that we need to do or the work that has been given to us. So that is what I'll say concerning the teens. Um, Auntie Ikea, please, the next slide for the preteens. Okay. And so we'll come to preteens. It's something similar. Again, even though they may be much younger, some of them may not be able to know themselves very well, but as their guardians and then maybe their parents, we are able to study them and know that these things help them. And so together with asking them some questions, we'll be able to build a routine that helps them. Routines are important for children, even younger children, because it builds structure and it helps them not to be confused. You know, when they know that this is what is happening around this time, it gives them some assurance. So it's important that we build routines even for younger children. And we'll have to start small, especially if we haven't built any sort of routine. When we are starting, we will have to start small. It might be trying to set the times for sleeping and waking up. That alone can be a challenge. But with repeated action, as I said, it's something you have to continue to do before it becomes a routine. Okay, so sleeping time, waking up time, you start with that. And then as you build consistency in that, you continue with some of the activities that are within the day. For morning routines, brushing up teeth, bathing, and then if they are older and are going to school, what they need to do before they go to school. Are they able to dress themselves? If they are not able to dress themselves, then it means you will help them. But even in helping them, you realize that they'll be picking it up from you. And so with time, you when you put their dresses or their shoes or whatever down for them, after you bath them, they will attempt to dress themselves up, which means that they are learning from you. So routines also help the children pick up things fast. And then also for those who are older but are not yet teens and are in school, having time set for schoolwork when they come back home, when are they supposed to do schoolwork? Again, when it's structured, they know that when I come back from school, I take off my clothes, I eat something, I rest a bit, then I do my homework. So maybe from 5 to 6 is homework time, and then you sit down and you do it. As I say, sit down and do it, it's not it's not that easy because children, they are now building the routine if you haven't started already. So it would mean that you will have to be checking that they are actually sitting down to do the homework. Sometimes you may have to sit by them, talk to them. If there are things you need to explain, you do that. And all these things with time, it has to be repeated. It has to be repeated before they can get that muscle trained, so that going forward, when they come, they take off their clothes, dress up, and then eat something. They know the next thing to do is to sit down and study. It's possible, but it takes time to build it. And we shouldn't give up when building these routines. And then also, again, I also emphasize building that reading habits is important. And as I mentioned on the previous slide, it's not only um, for now, but you are training yourself to be able to be consistent at something. Consistency is something you build as well. And when you do something repeatedly, you are able to be more consistent at it. And then, as it said, how you do one thing is how you will do another. So, when you're able to build consistency in one area, those skills are you are able to translate them to another area of your life. So that's what I'll say about setting time for reading. Can be 20 minutes or maybe 10 minutes since they are younger, but it's something you do routinely at a particular time, so that once the time comes, they know that, oh, it's time for this, and then they will make time for it. And then also having times to play. There should be unstructured time. Even though we are trying to build structured time, there should be unstructured time for them to pick whatever they want to do within that period and do that. That also helps build their creativity. And so for the preteens, this is what I'll say concerning them. Okay, great. So we are moving on to tips for going back to school. And going back to school, we have to remember that we are in school for a purpose. And to be able to achieve that purpose, we have to be able to have a plan, okay? And to be able to draw up a good plan, you must have your goals clearly set out. And that will depend on the individual. For younger children, their parents together with them can set the goals. For teenagers, I'm sure you may have something in mind with what you have done so far in the school year that you want to do. For example, maybe for mathematics, the previous term, how you fared, you weren't too happy. Or maybe you fared well and you want to maintain it. So how do you do that? Maybe you want to get, um, let's say, 80 or 90 in English. It's not about just saying, or even 100%. It's not just about saying it, but how are you going to do it? So having the goals, then you put down plans to be able to achieve it. So for example, for English that for the example I gave with English, you can say that for the textbook, maybe Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, that those are the periods that you may have English in school. And you decide that whenever we are taught something in school, I will revise it immediately. And then for the other two periods that I'll have, I'll go the extra mile. If we are in Unit 2, I'll try and finish Unit 2 and go to Unit 3. So that by the time we are doing Unit 3 in class, I have already started and I'm ahead. And then what the teacher will be saying, will be something like something that I'm just um, reminding myself of. Okay, so for that, you have a plan. But if you say, I want to get 80 or 90 or 100 in English, and that's it, you are not putting in anything down, then it means that you may not be able to achieve that goal that you have set. So, setting goals before going back to school is very important. And these are examples that I give. You know what is important to you, and then you can set a goal around that and then plan accordingly. And then also plan to learn something every day. As students, sometimes we wait till it's getting to exam time, then we want to cram everything and then pour and get some marks and move on. But I think it's important that I mention that you should have the mindset that what you are learning in school, you are learning it for life. Once you have that mindset, you have the habit of learning something daily. What you have been taught in school, when you come back home, you go over it. When you do that, you strengthen your memory and then have a plan for review. Okay, so supposing you learn something about photosynthesis today, and then you came back home, you have revised photosynthesis. In about 2 or 3 days, go back to what you have learned and then check whether you still remember. Okay, again, you do that. So we have something that we call, I think, the forgetting curve. You can look that up. And then something also called spaced repetition. These are ways that can help you remember what you have learned. And that is important so that you build on what you have learned and then you become more knowledgeable. Okay. And then finally, yeah, great. Thank you. Finally, I'll say that in all these things, it's important that we have enough rest and then also time for recreation. Rest is important because it's in that period that the body rejuvenates. And so it's important that we have enough rest. We should have enough rest. Okay? Enough rest. That means that when it's time to go to sleep, you don't put off the light and use the torchlight to read. You will not have enough rest that way. You realize that whenever you wake up from bed, you are tired. And going through the day tired is not something that is helpful for a growing mind or a growing body. Even adults, that's not helpful for us. So, for a growing mind and a growing body, have enough rest. And then also, time for play is important. We should have time to play, and this helps us strengthen our bodies, build our muscles, and then all that is important. The play is not should not be limited to just indoor, just out going, running about a bit is all important. When we say play, some people think it's video games. Video games are fun and all that, but they should not be the only thing that we do. There should be time for that, and then time for physical activities also that help to strengthen us as we engage in them. Okay, so this is where I'll end my talk. If there are any questions, I'm sure they will come up and then we can do that. Thank you very, very much. So, um, please, if there are any questions, Auntie Ikea, you can let us know so that we can ask them. Okay.
Okay, all right. Unfortunately, my lights went off. My lights just went off, but I
Oh,
believe you can hear me.
yes, please, we can.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Doc, for this insightful session. I believe we have learnt a lot. If there are any questions, okay, Eric, Anna Nebrenya, he says that if I am 12, am I a teen?
You are
If
almost a teen.
yes,
You are almost a teen. Usually, when we say teenagers, it's those whose years have the teen at the end, right? So you are
yes.
almost there. Left with just a few months, I'm sure, then you'll be in the teenage years. Yeah. So you are just at the preteen level. Okay.
All right.
Sneaking into the
Any
teenage.
other question? Do we have any other question? If there are no questions, then we have to end here. Auntie Akusia, we thank you so much. We thank you so much. Myself, I have learned a lot. I've put down some points that I'm going to start now to implement. And we are also going to send out some, how do you call it? A chat to all the, okay, so how can I create a plan? So we are going to actually send you a plan so that you can look on it and then create your own routine, morning routine, evening routine, something at least you can start with. So we are going to
Yeah.
send them to you today. You are going to have it today so that you can begin, as early as possible to work on it. So I believe there are no questions. Doc, we thank you so much for honoring our invitation. We honor you. We thank you so much for being here and for the great insight you have given us. God
Thank
bless you
you.
and
It's
enjoy
my
the rest of the
pleasure.
evening.
It's my pleasure. Thank you
Okay,
so
so
much.
someone is saying, all right, Doc, thank you so much. See you some other time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Okay, so someone is saying, Anthony Kwakuga, I do not get enough rest. Oh, please do get enough rest. You have to sleep well. If you don't rest, you are going to always feel tired. So it's important to rest. Rest is very important. You know, when God created the world, the earth, heaven and earth. Every day he has something to do, but he rested on the seventh day. It shows us that rest is very important. So even if God, who is all powerful, set aside a day to rest, how much more as humans we need rest. Rest is very important. So Anthony, please rest. Okay, get some time, add it to your routines that you are going to. So even if it's on weekends, every weekend you can have a time that you can use that time to rest. And resting is not only about sleeping. You can have, some cool, you can be relaxing in your room, listening to some good music, and all of that. They are all rest. So Gloria is asking, when do we rest? Yes, so you can, it's all actually depends on how you create your routines. Okay, so when you have your routines, you can factor in a time that you rest, or you can also put it on weekends. You can say, I'm going to have this number of hours, that I'm going to rest. So what I actually find out about children is that most of the times we are on the screen. The time that we can use to rest and read and do other important things, we use that time to be on screen. We are either watching cartoons, or we are playing games and all of that. Too much exposure to the screen has its effect. Being on the screen doesn't help you. In one of our sessions, we are actually going to look at the effect of the screen on you as a child. We are going to talk deeper into that. So, the time that you have to rest, don't use that time to be playing games on phones or to be watching cartoons or doing all of that. Use that time, get some rest. You can, as part of resting, you can even use that time to do something important with your mom or dad. You can have a conversation about something, where you are in your room or you're in your bed and your mom or dad is beside you. You are having some conversations, about something meaningful about life. So you can actually do that. So okay, my name is Brian. How many hours should um we use screen? Okay, that's a very good question. So It depends on your age. Okay, it's advised that children below the ages of 3 years have no business with the screen. For me, I say below the ages of even 5 years, you have no business with the screen, because at that stage, a child is supposed to interact more with their environment. A child is actually, some children actually are not able to communicate very well because of too much exposure to the screen. When a child is at that, a toddler is exposed to the screen, they learn nothing at all. They learn nothing. They learn nothing. They are just the brain. There's a part of the brain where at that stage they have to communicate more with their parents, with their environment. They have to play. They have to, do all of that. So from ages, let's say four, four to I think 4 to 8. I'll get the ages and then send to you so that you know. You can have just 2 hours, okay, or 1 hour a day for screen time. You can use so as a student, okay, from Monday to Friday should be a no screen day for you. You can tell yourself that I'm going to have a screen time on weekends, Saturdays, and then Sundays for maybe 2 hours a day. So every Saturday and Sunday, you are going to have screen time 2 hours each day. And then immediately the 2 hours is up, ensure that you discipline yourself to end whatever thing that you are watching. Tell yourself that screen time is up. I need to move on to the next thing. That is how you build discipline. Discipline is telling yourself, doing things that you tell yourself you will do, even when no one is around. Okay, so that is that. We will actually teach you more about that, how you can help yourself limit your screen time so that you can use your time to do something very important. Okay, so that you can use your time to do something that is very important. I believe there are no questions. If there are any questions, please let us know so that we can answer that for you. And one thing that I also want to, we are going to give you a routine, a checklist, or let's say something that you can use to create your own routines. So your parents are going to print them out for you. Then you're going to state your morning routines and then your evening routines. So you know every morning when you wake up what you have to do, and then every evening when you come back from from school, you know what you have to do. So we are going to help you with that. And then we are also going to teach you how you can also create your weekend routines. So from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you should have a routine as well, because we have school routines and then we have the weekend routines. On weekends, you should also follow your routines so that you can stay disciplined. So someone is asking, what is discipline? So we are actually going to handle that, in one of our sessions. We have how do you call it? Our curriculum. Okay, we are following step by step. So we are going to actually go deeper in all of these things. Now, let me give a very simple, explanation on discipline. Discipline is you saying you will do the things that you ask yourself, you tell yourself you have to do, finishing everything you start. That is how I actually define discipline for you in terms of academics. You tell yourself you are going to read one book every month, and then you are able to ensure you read one book every month. That is discipline. So finishing everything you start is actually discipline. But we are going to also talk deeper about that so that we have a better understanding about what it actually means. I believe there are no questions. We've spent 44 minutes, so I would want us to end here. If there are any questions, you can leave them on the page and we will look at it and answer for you. Thank you so much for your time. We honor you. We don't take your time for granted, for all the showing up to listen to the classes. We really, really appreciate. And I'll say that let's continue, because when we are learning every day, when we are doing the things that we have to do every day, that is how we can actually grow to become better. So let's keep learning. And as we are opening school, as we are going back to school, don't tell yourself that you can't read your books because you have other books. That is why we've actually discussed about routines. So you know the time that you are going to use to read your book for the month, and then the time that you are going to use to read your school textbooks and notebooks. No excuses. Tell yourself you can do it. And I believe you can do it. Okay. I believe you can do it. Only if you are able to stay disciplined, plan your routines, and then follow them as you have planned them. All right. Thank you so much for being here, and see you again next week. But on Monday, we are also going to post our activity for the week. Ensure you do your activity for the week. Ensure you read your book. Okay. Ensure you read your book for the month. Enjoy the rest of the evening. God be with us all. Amen. Bye.